and welcome to the Women Conquer Business Show. I'm Jen McFarland, joined by Shelly Carney. We're your go-to small business marketing show, covering breaking marketing news that affects you, cool apps we found, and a how-to deep dive into a marketing topic with a side of motivation and inspiration. We'll also talk a little about our own entrepreneurial journeys as well. Are you ready? Let's get started.
Hello,
and welcome to Women Conquer Business. Today we are going to talk about how to build a profitable email list, plus a few automated emails that you're just going to want to send out. We all know that we need an email list and maybe even start building one, but how do we build it up and make it profitable? Hint, get the right people on the list. How do we automate emails and when should we send them out? Plus, a handful of automated emails that we must send, along with a couple of manual ones to keep people warm. So,
Yes.
what say you, Shelly?
I say, just to let everybody know, we have pre-recorded this episode because Jen is on a tropical island having a wonderful time, I'm sure.
I mean, I'm not going to brag, but yes, I'm sure I will be having a great time.
And I'll be at home doing work.
I am excited and happy to finally get a vacation. I had a trip planned to go to Taos, New Mexico in May of 2020. And as we know, a lot of things happened in 2020, and we have not gone on any vacations since. I've also had a lot of things, just like everybody else, happen in my family and work life and everything that have kept it away, not just COVID. And so I'm very excited to finally have a chance to get away. It's coinciding with a time where I'm making some business transitions, hiring someone to help me, looking at how the work is getting done. I'm writing up some workflows for how I want the future to be. So it's a really exciting time. And also, I need to rest before I do all of that because it's a lot. It's definitely a lot.
That's right. And I'm happy for you. Toby and I have been doing New Mexico day trips. So we're taking a day trip every week. And sometimes it's even a stretch like, oh, where are we going to go this week? And would you really take somebody there if they were, traveling to New Mexico? Would you suggest they go there? And then what do our viewers want to see? Well, they want to see us outdoors. And sometimes they want to see us making mistakes and having fails and, just sharing that with them. So there's a fine line between is it something that a tourist would do, or is it something that people want to get to know you better because you're out in a difficult situation out in the outdoors? So we're figuring it out. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah, super fun though.
Yeah,
All these little adventures are super fun.
that's right.
Well, are you ready to dive into some breaking news?
Let's do it.
All right. So this breaking news is related to what we are going to be talking about, because anytime we talk about building a profitable email list, it also intersects, if you will, with content writing. And a really hot topic in content creation right now is AI writing tools. The largest AI writing tool on the market right now is Jasper. I was an early adopter of Jasper. I do not use Jasper. It's not for me, these AI tools for writing content. HubSpot has announced now that they have invested over $100 million into Jasper. And it is, it's I don't know how I feel about it. I'll just be honest. People think of tools like Jasper as a replacement for actually having to write. That's not the purpose of it at all. And I feel like what HubSpot's investment could potentially mean even more bad content just going out into the world, particularly on things like social media, which HubSpot is pretty integral to that. But maybe under HubSpot's kind of stewardship, if they're putting in that much money, then it might change things a little bit. Jasper is really hard to find good information about. They have a similar model as ClickFunnels, where they're really trying to build a community and a lot of affiliates. So it's people like me who aren't making all of their money on affiliate marketing and analyze products for something other than whether or not I can turn around and write a blog post about how wonderful it is and make money. A lot of us don't like Jasper. I've used other AI tools for creating content like PepperType. I like that one way better than Jasper. I got it on AppSumo, super easy. Another one, Niches, is I think better than Jasper as well. These tools, though, don't really replace your writing. They're not as good, they're not as reliable. And sometimes, as was the case with Jasper anyway, they are scraping the web and just serving it back to you. So they may not even be entirely unique. So there are a lot of concerns that I have about, Jasper and HubSpot being married, but we have to trust these companies that will, at least in some way, be transparent and really help people use AI effectively. The company that, of course, I've talked about several times that I love that uses AI and makes it clear that you still need the human touch is Lately. Lately also integrates with HubSpot. So maybe they're looking at Lately and they're looking at Jasper and thinking that they can be investing in these companies and supporting these companies to position themselves for this future that we don't really know how AI is going to be part of content creation in the future. Where it
Mhm.
is today, it can't really replace a human.
No, but a human can use it as a tool, and I'm wondering if it's a really good tool for people who produce newsletters that, aggregate information, say, like, here are the top 5 best whatevers, and it helps you pull that information all together, but then you write your in your own voice around that information and present that information, and that would be the way I would wanna use it as a tool is just to pull in all that information, uh, that you're trying to use as a, top 10 list or some kind of a graph, statistics that you can use then to support your own writing, that you're doing in your own voice.
Absolutely. And I would say that I use PepperType to learn some of these frameworks for sales pages, what these different types of persuasive writing can be like, and I'll use that as a guide, and then I just make it my own. And
Mm,
I think that that's the key with any AI product is they present you with something as a guide, and then you as the human need to adjust it and make it
right.
your own. But these tools, and this is why it relates to building a profitable email list, these tools can really help you when it comes to formulating some of the templates you're going to need, some of the automated emails you might send, because they do give you a framework for what that could look like.
Yeah, and if you're the type of person that stares at a blank page and can't think of anything to write, this is a good starting place. But I
Mhm.
wouldn't, like you said, I would use it as a tool, not as as an assistant. I'll
Right.
say that. Yeah.
Okay.
What
So are
else you
you
got?
ready to what was that?
Anything else?
No, are you ready to get into it?
Yeah, let's
Let's
learn.
let's power up, get into our presentation. So, how to build a profitable email list. Do you want to kick us off here?
Well, how to build a profitable email list. Profitable. Jen, as she was introducing this topic, made a hint for us, and she said, "Choose the right people. Get the right people on your list." We talked a couple weeks ago about an opt-in, the perfect opt-in, and that perfect opt-in is the door that is only open to the people you would want to work with, the people you want in your community. And people who do not want to be in you do not want in your community will self-select out of that. They'll say,
That's
"No,
right.
that's not for me," because, you've got the perfect opt-in, which weeds out the people that don't belong in your community, basically. So,
Right.
you now have a great, email list, and Jen and I talked about our open rate on our email list is in the high 60s and 70s a lot of times. So that means people are engaged, and they're, reading what you have to say, and they're excited about it. So this is a very warm audience that you can sell to, and that's what makes your list profitable.
Absolutely. And I would say that, when it comes to like how to build a profitable email list, well, first of all, you have to tell people. I have a newsletter. I have an opt-in. I have this is what I'm offering. Join me. And that's the mistake a lot of people make is, well, I've had this out here and they are not promoting it on social media. They're not going on podcasts and talking about it. Or when they go on podcasts, they're not talking about it. They're not putting out the information so that people can engage with you. There are probably a lot of people who are interested in who you are and what you do, and they want that easy entry into learning more. But the first step really to building a profitable email list is making sure people know about it. Because if you have listened to a couple of episodes back to how to create that perfect opt-in, that lead magnet that really speaks to your people, the next thing you need to do is promote that and put that out there. If you really believe and you have a little bit of a budget, you could even run some ads about it and try and get people in. Although it just doesn't work as well. Like it's almost better if they're organic people. I
Mm,
also have had the good fortune of, and I know this is how I know that social media works. I had the good fortune of having a pin on Pinterest go semi-viral. It might sound familiar to some of you. It was called the Ultimate Podcast Planning Checklist, which is now went from being a freebie. Then I expanded it and started selling it on AppSumo, and now it's on as a part of Epiphany courses, and it continues to be sold on AppSumo. So when you have that good opt-in and people really are into it and it's on a topic that's really great, it can grow into other things. And it can also be a way to consistently and constantly grow your email list and let people know what you're doing. In that case, it was like, I have an opt-in about the Ultimate Podcast Planning Checklist. Everybody seems to be interested in it. I talk about marketing. Marketing is a big part of having a podcast. So all the wheels kind of come together. Now, in my newsletter, I do talk about Pinterest on occasion, which may surprise people who are fairly new to the email list. But I still have to honor the fact that a lot of people came in initially to my list from Pinterest. So I know that that's where they came from. And I still speak to that on occasion. And that's one of the other ways that you build a profitable email list. So your lead magnet is aligned with who you are and what you do. You post about it and where the people come from that are attracted to your opt-in. If you can track that through things like Google Analytics, Plausible, some of your email marketing platforms can even do it for you. Then that will tell you more information about the people who are subscribing, potentially what you could offer them, and ultimately how you can sell to them.
that's right. So that is how to build a profitable email list. And if you have any questions on that or you want to dive in deeper, we do have other uh, videos out, or you can write to us and ask those questions. Let's get into how to automate emails. So, what are the things that we need in order to automate an email?
So the things that you need to automate an email really depends on the tools that you have. What most people don't know when they first start their business, but hopefully more seasoned people know, is you can't just send from your Gmail account. You need to have an email marketing platform. And almost all email marketing platforms will allow you to send the automated email out. You put your form from, MailChimp, SendFox, ActiveCampaign, MailerLite. You put that somewhere, people give you their name and email address, and then you set up an email that comes to that person and says, "Hey, thanks for getting the Ultimate Podcast Planning Checklist. Here's a link to download that checklist, or here's the next step that you need to take to get there." That's an automated email because when people opt in, you're not going to be sitting there waiting so that you can send them a personalized email. And so really that's probably the first automated email, right? Is you have a lead magnet. You're giving them what they have asked for when they get the lead magnet. That's your first automated email. And for a lot of people, that initial automated email can get you a lot. That can be your one automated email for a long time when you're just starting. The next one that you're really going to want, well, did you have any other questions about How to automate emails?
How to
Did you have anything
automate
else in
email.
mind?
There, like Jen said, you want to go through your email marketing application, and there are certain times when you want it to be triggered. So it's going to ask you, when do you want this to be triggered? And you'll say, oh, when they get the free download, I want to trigger this. And then a day later, 24 hours, I want to trigger this next one. So it'll ask you for your triggers, and it'll give you maybe some suggestions of when you might want to have an automated email go out. And
Yeah.
then a lot of times, like for SendFox, I know you can do this. You can take them, send them some emails, and then change them over to a new list so that they all end up on the main list for your newsletter. And then there's also, segmenting and all of this. But those are, for further on down the road because
Yeah,
it
I
can get
mean,
kind of complicated.
and that's the thing, like, your first automated email is really, like, they filled out a form and they get sent something. And for
Yeah.
a lot like I said, for a lot of people, they don't have the welcome sequence, they don't have any of that stuff. It's really just fill out form, send out email that either says, "Hi, thanks for signing up," or it says, "Thanks for signing up. Here's the thing that you
Right.
signed up for."
Mhm.
And that for some people, it's as simple as that. That's the whole
Yep.
automation.
Yep.
And then what Shelly was talking about are like the next steps. So the next stage, once you're at a place and you're like, no, I really want to get serious about building a profitable email list. I really want to follow up with people. I want to have a newsletter, which, as we know, a newsletter isn't automated, although parts of it can be. Is the first thing that you're going to want after you get through that automated opt-in lead magnet part is a welcome sequence. And everybody talks about having a welcome series. What does that look like? That's also automated. That's like a 3 to 5 email arc, describing your
Mhm.
business in one way or the other. So a really simple one it would be like this. Somebody signs up for your email list. You say thank you, and give them whatever they opted in for. So that lead magnet, you're sending it to them. You wait a couple of days, and the next one is, "Hey, have you had a chance to look at it? Here are some things you might wanna think about. Here's some other resources that I've created." So if it's like the podcast planning checklist, the first one is, "Hey, have you had a chance to look at it yet? I've made these other podcast related resources. Be sure and read these because it'll help you, or listen to these podcast episodes and it'll help you." They send that out, wait a few days, probably 2 or 3 days, and then you tell them a little bit about yourself. So in the case of the podcast playing checklist, the next one would be, "Hey, I'm Jen McFarland. I've had a podcast since 2018. I started my podcast so that I could learn public speaking. I feel like it's really helped me with that. Now I'm on the stage a lot. Here's how it could possibly help you. Have you opened that thing yet? Have you gotten started? Hit reply and let me know what you think." Right?
Mm,
So that's the next one. Wait a few days. And then it's like, "Hey, do you need help starting your podcast? Reach out to me. I can help you set up that tech stack, the first marketing technology you need. I can help you find the right podcast hosting platform and help you automate your podcast so that it takes you less time and is easier." And that's just an example, right? That's a typical arc. And then after that, you would automate them to go into, say, your newsletter sequence, right? Typically, when they're going through the welcome series, you pause sending out newsletters to that person because you want them to be fully focused on the welcome series. You want them to, that's the most likely time they have to buy. So you don't want to confuse them with newsletters and other automations. You want them to be in that focus space, going through that sales funnel. That's your first funnel. Most funnels you don't even need landing pages for. They're pretty simple email funnels. You're sending them through there, and then after that, you can tag them. A lot of times, that's where your first segment usually comes from. Segmenting means you are putting people in your email list into various groups. and you're doing that through tags or through engagement, different things like that. So if somebody goes through the welcome series, they don't open anything, you can tag them as not engaged. And then if they don't open anything for a while, you can actually automate it so that they're deleted from your list. Because if they signed up and they never did anything, they're just dead weight on your list. Why should you carry them, right?
Right.
The other thing you can do is if they're highly engaged, they're opening everything, maybe you have some place where they're highly engaged and you ask them if they want to schedule a call. You can do that with your email list where you take that next step before you send them to the newsletter. If they've opened a handful of emails, but they're not replying and nothing big is happening, they go on to your newsletter list. So what you're doing is you're personalizing the experience based on and segmenting and grouping people based on engagement. You can also do this if you wanted to say ask questions. So sometimes welcome series is also about what type of information you want to hear from me. So you can set up like a survey and say, okay, are you interested in podcasts? Are you interested in small business marketing? Do you want to hear about something else? What is that? And you kind of break people off into those segments. And then you're like, okay, if I have a new podcast episode, I'm going to send it to this group. These people just want a general newsletter. I'm going to send that to this group. This group is really interested in small business marketing. That's what I'm going to send here. So you can put people into all kinds of groups and make the automation very specific, very personal, and you will increase the likelihood of a conversion from your list the more that you do that. So that's kind of how you would take a basic lead magnet, which is where everybody starts, and then the next steps to get them into a welcome series, a welcome sequence, and then how you would split them up after that.
And one of the ways you can split people up is if they've purchased something. So another sequence that you can automate is customer onboarding. So Jen, why don't you get into the customer onboarding that because that was like
this is
needed.
so this is a lot of the type of thing that I'm working on right now in my own business. I do this a lot with people that I've worked with before. I work with a lot of coaches. They hit the stage, they get done. They've stood up there. They're like, "Hey, if you want to learn more, you can do this." Well, I've set up sequences for people before where it's like, okay, the speaking engagement is done. What happens if they want to learn more? And sometimes the offers are different. Sometimes the offer is if you subscribe within the next hour, you're going to get this discount. And so we'll set a timer for when they get the discount. And then if they sign up and pay, then they go through a different section of the funnel. Like it kind of changes what they do. A more typical customer onboarding is somebody comes in as a lead, you decide to work together, you send them their contract and their invoice, and those can be automated. And then what happens next? And that's the part of the customer onboarding series, like all those emails that you send back and forth as a coach or as a consultant or as a service-based business, that back and forth could really be automated. And then at times, if you need to, you can personalize that experience and answer questions and anything like that. But it's also some things that you do over and over and over again when you bring on somebody new that can also be automated and onboarded using automation. And that automation could be in your email marketing platform. I use a tool called Bonsai, and it does automation like as soon as somebody pays and they sign the contract and all that kind of stuff. And then I can send them off into the next stage. And those are really powerful because sometimes we spend a lot of time on admin tasks that we don't really need to be worried about. And that's another way that customer onboarding could work. The thing about customer onboarding is, and with any automated sequences that we're talking about, is you want to make sure that you're not bombarding somebody with a whole bunch of emails. So your welcome series and your customer onboarding ideally would be happening at different times so that emails aren't getting lost. So you want to definitely make sure that you check for that. Have you done anything like this with customer onboarding? This is usually something that people always want to have, but they usually
Yeah.
don't have it.
Yeah. Well, with me, I don't have enough customers that I can't do that just personally, you know. I tailor each, everything's customized because I don't have a plethora of customers purchasing items So no, I don't have a customer onboarding. Um, but it is something that you can do, especially if you're a coach and you have a course that they're going through that is drip.
Mm,
You can set up emails that help them to take them through the course and to remind them to do different things at different times. And those
yeah.
should definitely be automated because you want to make sure that they get them at the right time.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And that's the thing about courses, they can be, a lot of times courses are released in drip. That means you are open a lesson is opened up to you maybe once every Monday, and
Mhm.
there's an email sent out saying, "Hey, the lesson's open." Certainly those would all be automated. There are certainly other types of products where you would have an automated sequence to support that product, and you would want to plan all of that out. As you maybe can tell, automated email sequences need to be meticulously planned because it's really easy for them to get hosed. And like things are stepping all over each other and confusing for yourself to know what's actually wrong. And then also ultimately, what you really want to avoid is really scaring your customers off with
You wanna go
disorganization
back
and
and revisit those
emails.
emails every 6 months and make sure that you didn't have something in there that you discontinued, or you were just talking about something that you never really happened, so you gotta take things out or, freshen it up, so, yeah, you
Yeah, or
wanna
the
do
links
all that.
changed, or I mean, gosh, there's so many different things that can happen. So
Yeah.
So just make sure that you're checking in on that. And then the third type of automated emails to send, and I've done this and I kind of held off on doing it, uh, is to use so every website, every podcast, every podcast website, if you want to be that way, has what's called an RSS feed. It's basically a spot that says, "Hey, this is when this website was updated." And it just keeps adding like all the new articles to it. In part that's used for SEO and all different kinds of tools, but it's also something that you can connect to any email marketing provider. I know in SendFox, Mailchimp, MailerLite, ActiveCampaign, just about anything you can name, you connect your RSS feed, which is usually your website URL with a slash RSS or slash feed are the common ones, and you connect that to your email marketing software, and then you can say every time a new article comes out, send it. You can say every every 3 articles that go out, automatically send an email. In Ghost, it's a little bit more that's my website. It's a little more direct where anytime I publish a new article, it asks me if I just want to send it out. And anything I can send any new content, I can choose whether or not it goes out to the list or not. And that's pretty powerful stuff too. So you can either do it depending on your website, you can either do it directly from your website, although nothing would stop me from hooking up my Ghost website to ActiveCampaign, and then every 3 podcasts, it would send it out. Or I could even trigger it so that when there's a new article, it's like, "Okay, well, is that article tagged as a podcast? Yes. Okay. When I have 3 podcast episodes that'll send out, no, skip that one until the next podcast tag comes up." So, like, for Shelly, she could have a tag for, say, a live stream, and she could have just articles and content about live streaming. She could have and send that out to a certain group of people, and she could also have just podcasting, and that could go out to another group of people, as an example, if you use tags on your website or blog.
And it's great. I know some of them, like you said, they'll set it up for you. They'll go, "Okay, they bring in they ingest whatever you send them, the RSS feeds that you send them, and then they set it up, and then you can go in there and look at it and adjust it and make it the way you want it, and then hit
Mhm.
send. It can save you some time in
Other ones will
putting
just send
together.
it. If you
Yeah,
don't, if you're like,
okay.
"I know it's gonna be fine." It's that's
Yeah,
or it's good enough. I'm not gonna
yeah.
worry about it. Then absolutely it'll just send it for you.
It
That's
could
what
just
makes
be
it
a
so
very
great.
simple thing that says, "I just put out a new blog post," and it just sends it.
Yeah. It's
Yeah,
wonderful. It's great.
yeah. That way you don't forget. I like those automations because it keeps you, from forgetting, and you can
Right.
focus on the other things. Yeah. So,
So
2 manual ones now,
yeah,
the
so
ones
you
that we
do
have to
those.
write.
Yeah, exactly. Like what the one thing I always say over and over and over again is you automate so you can be more human in your business. So you want to have these automations set so that you've kind of you're keeping people warm. Like that's the whole point. You're keeping people warm. They're not going to forget who you are. They're going to know what you do. That just keeps going and going. You're going to have a way to welcome new customers, make sure that they know what's happening next. They can schedule with you. They have all the links in one spot. That's what all the automated stuff does. But then there's the manual, the human parts that have to go on. Keeps people warm, makes people feel like they know you, and those are all of the other updates. This is your ongoing thought leadership. This is your newsletter. That's one of them.
Mhm.
One of your manual newsletters. That's one thing that you can be sending out. I think that monthly is a good one. If you haven't sent out any emails and you're scared about it, I always say, can we agree to quarterly? And that usually people are usually okay with like 4 times a year, I'll send something out. And that's for the people who are just not don't have a big list. They're kind of fearful of it. Um, and it's just a good way to kind of seasonally be in touch with people. I think for most people, monthly is really good. And if you're super interested in building content creation, you can do weekly. I'm in marketing. I have friends who email every day. They make me crazy. I
Mm.
personally don't foresee emailing daily or multiple times a day. Uh, you know, I can have
Unless it's for a big event that's coming up, and
yeah,
you're trying to drum up a lot of participation in that event,
yeah,
and that would only be maybe once or twice a year.
right.
Yeah,
That's what I mean. I would have to be convinced of it. It would have to be
yeah,
a big deal. It can't just be like because I have colleagues who send out. I'm like, what? This doesn't matter. This is dumb. Why are you sending this? It's
yeah.
not a big promotion. It's just to be in people's inboxes and have like a
Mhm.
snappy headline. And I don't like to waste people's time. So if it's important, I put it out. Uh, but I'm not going to do every day unless it's critical.
Right, right. And if you're drumming up people to come to an event, I think that's
Yeah,
the one time I would recommend it. That's the only time I would recommend it.
yeah,
More than once a day or even once a day. Once a week
yeah.
is what we recommend, because we put out a weekly show. We put out, the weekly podcast and the weekly blog. So we put out a weekly newsletter to announce all of those things, to keep people updated on what's going on each week. I feel that is perfect. If you do more than that, people tend to start to tune you out because it's too much. They get overwhelmed with too much information. So, yeah.
Absolutely agree. Yeah. And that's what I mean about my colleagues. Sometimes I'm like, too much,
Yeah.
not important enough.
Yeah.
And so totally on the same page. So yeah, if you have specials, news, product, service updates, something that's a new offering, be sure and get that out there. These cannot be automated. These are manual, ideally highly personal when you're talking about this, meaning it's a real hands-on thing if you're promoting a new product or service for the first time. I think you really wanna speak to your people
Yeah.
and not automate that. So,
Yeah.
though that is basically how you and the whole time, not just at the beginning, you have to keep telling people that your email list exists and what you're offering on there. It helps sometimes if there's exclusives that people can't see elsewhere, and that are items that are only offered to your email list.
Yeah.
Very helpful.
Yeah. Keep it keep it friendly. Remember, I when you say people are afraid to email their list, I don't know why, because these people have self-selected. They've opted in. They want to hear from you. And I'm not saying every day, but once a week is nice. I mean, if you have a best friend, don't you contact them at least once a week? These people want to feel like your friend. They want to feel like they're part of your community, part of your world. They want to feel special. So reach out to them once a week and say, hey, it isn't that hard. Put it on your calendar every Tuesday, like I do, and say, we're gonna email everybody on Tuesday and say, hey, we're out here, we're doing this. Check it out.
Celeste, if you're listening or watching, sorry I don't reach out every week. You're gonna get me in trouble with my besties. But yeah, no, I mean, totally agree.
No, you I
With
don't
like reaching out to people once
I
a
don't
week.
call
Totally
every week.
agree. I
Yeah,
don't
well, that's okay. That's okay. You don't have to, but, that's a personal thing. A personal choice.
All right.
So, what's
So
next?
if you liked this training, I highly encourage you to go to course.agkmedia.studio. That's Shelly's new course, How to Create, Publish, and Distribute Content Consistently. And that is again at course.agkmedia.studio now through November 18th. You get it for free if you use coupon code AGKSAVER, all caps.
All caps, all free. And don't forget to subscribe to the Women Conquer Business email list and get a free marketing self-assessment. And that link is sendfox.com/WCB. And if you haven't done that yet, what are you waiting for? Come on. Jen doesn't even email that often.
I don't. Hey. I aspire. I do. I send out good stuff.
Yes,
And
she does.
one of
Absolutely.
the one of the reasons why I'm hiring somebody is so I can get back to emailing more often because there's
That's
just a
right.
lot out there.
That's right.
So are we
Busy
good?
women.
Are we ready for tweak of the week?
Do it.
Woo! Do it. All right. So this week we're going to talk about Pipedrive. I get asked all the time, Jen, what's your favorite CRM? And my answer, CRM means customer relationship manager. It's a way to stay in contact with your customers. It sometimes does include email marketing. In fact, Pipedrive is an add-on for that. But it's usually not as good as like a full service email marketing. It's kind of how you stay in touch with leads, things like that. The answer to what the best client relationship management system is for you as a business owner, the answer I always have is, well, it depends. So sorry. Uh, it depends on if what you want that client relationship management tool to do. For example, Pipedrive is incredibly sales focused. That is really what that is for. It is for your pipeline. It's really there to say, I have a lead, I have qualified them, and they are moving through my sales process until the time where I need them to sign a contract, in which case they have the lead has converted then into a customer. And it's really they're trying to have more automation built into it, but really it's for that sales pipeline. And it works really well, I think, if you have more of a team. It's not as great, I think, if you're doing it by yourself. There are other tools that are good for solopreneurs, although I'm using it right now and I don't have a big team and I'm finding it's fine too. The thing that I've done is I've also integrated web forms into my website. That is great because you can go, like if you go to my website at this time, go to womenconquerbiz.com. There's a little chat bot that opens here and it says welcome, and then it asks you why you came. And if you say you're interested in services, guess what? It will schedule and put it on your calendar. So it's like, they're scheduling, you get people to give you their name and email address. You can add them to your list. They show up as a lead in Pipedrive. You can do all different kinds of things with Pipedrive to really attract new people and help you grow your list and increase your sales. Other CRMs have different focuses. Like one of the best client relationship management tools out there is Square. And a lot of people don't realize how great Square is. They think of it as just payment processing. If you have a restaurant or if you use Square as your primary tool for like in-person transactions, you can use that and that would be a better fit for you than a Pipedrive. Pipedrive is different. This is for people who are more consulting and doing some sales. They talk to a lot of people and they need a way to track all of the people that they're talking to. A couple of caveats about Pipedrive is there are a lot of add-ons, so you can do just about anything that you want to do. But if you want to send email to your sales leads, that costs extra. If you want to have that little form I just showed you that I have on my website, that costs extra. So it can get really expensive, which is why I don't know if I'm going to use it forever. I'm testing it out right now just to see if it works for me. But it does get expensive to have all of the bells and whistles that they talk about that make it actually a fully featured client relationship manager. Now, it will do the reminders, so you remember to follow up with people. It will do different things with your scheduling. Those are all great. But not all of the integrations are great, and it doesn't natively integrate with a ton of other applications. You are going to need an intermediary like a Zapier or a Pabbly to connect it to other tools, and that's kind of a limitation. So it's the tweak of the week, but it's a tweak of the week with a caveat, because if you're looking for client relationship management software, it's really the case that you need to test it out, make sure it's a fit for your business, make sure it fits into the workflows and the sales that you're trying to go through for your business. If you're really looking for a record or you really want to tie it into your email marketing, ActiveCampaign also has a really good client relationship management system. It just depends on the tools that you're using and what's going to make it easiest for you and which one are you actually going to use, because it's not going to help you if you don't use it. And that is today's tweak of the week.
Tweak of the week. Let's move into some inspiration. Now that we did the techie side, now we do the feeling side. Here's a quote from Zig Ziglar that I try to live my life by, and I know Jen does because I see her do it all the time. You will get all you want in life if you help enough other people get what they want. Not only is that great sales, but it's just a great way to live your life. Focus on being the best person you can be in the present moment and on doing the right thing right now. Be good and noble now while it still matters and while people are paying attention. People, children and everybody who watches us, they learn about us by what we do, the actions that we take, how we treat other people. All of these things are very important, and they stand out for our customers. They're looking at us. They're saying, how do I resonate with her? Does she walk her talk? Does she help other people without expecting anything in return? Now that the election is minutes away, we want to know that there are people out there who are in it just to help other people and share information, share knowledge, share tips and tools and tweaks, and because we want to help other people, we want everybody to rise together, right? So that's my inspirational nugget for today. What do you think, Jen?
I totally agree. That's awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that. Everybody needs a life jacket. The boat floats for everybody.
Yeah. Let's all lift each other up and take each other up to that tropical island in the sky.
Have a great week, everybody.
Thank you for joining the Women Conquer Business podcast, hosted by Shelley Carney and Jen McFarland. Please subscribe and leave a comment or question regarding your most challenging content creation or business problem. Then share this podcast with family and friends so they can find the support they need to expand their brand and share their message with the world. Check the show notes for links to valuable resources and come back again